algebra. And first, we're going to talk about writing expressions. When you are writing expressions, you are converting words into numbers and symbols, into a math equation. So here we have listed some words that you might see and what math function we are talking about. I would suggest writing these in your notes so that you have them to refer to later. For example, when we are adding, we might see something like the sum of two numbers, increased by, plus, total, combine. Subtraction, difference, fewer, minus. Multiplication, we've seen the word of before and talked about how that means multiplying. So we see that again here. And then we have some words for dividing as well. This word right here, variable, is a term we haven't really talked about yet. Variable is usually a letter used to represent a number in an equation. And this should be letter. Any letter can be used. You might see 2x, that x is a variable. Or 0.5p, that p is a variable. You can use any letter to represent a number in these equations. So let's look at some examples. The difference between 10 and 5. So difference, if we're thinking about difference, we can look back up here, and difference is with subtracting. So we know we are going to be subtracting between 10 and 5. So the difference between 10 and 5. So we have difference means subtraction, 10 and 5. So 10 minus 5. A number, so again, this can be any variable. We can use any letter. I'm going to use n just because it's easier to remember a number is n. You can use x, you can use p, you can use w. It doesn't matter what letter you use to represent this variable in these types of equations. Is increase, so we're adding by 6. So n plus 6. So 30, let's look at number 3. 33 less than, so if you look up here, less than is subtracting a number. What's interesting with this phrase less than is it's what I like to call a turnaround phrase. It means that we need to flip these two values when we write it down. So instead of saying 33 minus n, because it says less than, it's a turnaround phrase. So it's actually n minus 33. So if you want to go ahead and write that down in your notes, less than means that we have to flip our values. All right, let's look at a couple more. So we're going to look at 4 and 5. Half of 14. So with half of 14, of means we're multiplying. So we have 1/2 of 14. So what we could do is we could say 1/2 times 14. Or instead, half, we could write it like 14 over 2. Because if we look back at the top at our notes, half means to divide. And when we have half, we are dividing by 2. So in this one, we can say 14 over 2. Let's look at number 5. Twice the temperature minus 60 degrees. So in this one, instead of having a number, we have temperature. We don't know what the temperature is. It is a variable. So we can say, let's use T for temperature. So twice the temperature. If we look back at those terms we have at the top, we have double, triple, all of those mean multiply. So if we have twice the number, we're going to multiply by 2. So 2t, twice the t, minus 60. So twice the temperature, 2t minus 60. All right, I have 3 practice problems right here for you. So I'm going to have you guys try those on your own. had a chance to do those on your own, let's come back and review them. So the product of x and 7. So if we think to product, if you looked back in your notes, product of means to multiply. So we're going to multiply x and 7. So we have x times 7. When we have variables, what we can also say is we can say 7x. When a variable and a number are right next to each other, that means multiplication. And so we'll see that a lot more as we go through this, but as we go through the algebra section. But I wanted to note that x times 7 is the same thing as saying 7x. So either one of those would be an acceptable answer. But keep in mind on the GED, it is multiple choice. So if you don't see x times 7, you might see 7x as an answer. A number divided by 15 less than 3. All right, so this is getting a little more complicated. So we have a number divided by 15. So a number divided by 15, so we can use x in this one, or I mean n, let's stay with n. A number divided by 15 less than 3. So less than means we're going to be subtracting, but remember it's a turnaround phase. So that means that we are going to be flipping these. So keep in mind that we're going to be flipping them minus 3. So we're going to flip these around because it's a turnaround phrase. That less than is a little different than the other terms that we use. So 3 minus n over 15 is our answer. And then for the last one, 75 increased by a number. So if we are doing increased by, that's addition. So we have 75 increase, so plus a number. So again, this is a variable. And remember, whenever you have a variable, if it doesn't specify what the letter is or what the variable is, you can use any number to represent that variable, whether it's n, p, q, it doesn't matter. You can choose whichever one.